And all these slots need not be purely lecture. And what is very, very important is that we need to it has become.
Sound is gone. Sound is fine, no?
It's coming? Yeah. So, are you getting my voice?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fine. So, what I'm telling is, therefore, the point is that all these half an hour slots need not be lectures. Actually, you can share your teaching material. And while sharing the teaching material, there are tools that you can pick up PDFs of books or part of the chapters, and you can annotate them and share them. By annotating using your handwriting, you can share them. So that sharing becomes easier for people to download. And then maybe you can conduct discussions purely on audio connect. And a student can connect via phone and not requiring maybe a continuous data connection. And even if he's connecting by audio, only audio and not video over this kind of a link that is through phone, which would be here also there is a bandwidth conservation and you can actually have a better connect. So what I'm telling is this connectivity, what I'm trying to stress upon in a big way is this connectivity and the challenges of connectivity has to be taken care of in designing new pedagogy. And I think for us, in the Indian context, this is the biggest challenge. There exists a digital divide, and our pedagogy should not ignore the digital divide. So this workshop must address this issue in depth. This is the first thing we talked about. The other important thing is this is a new reality, and new reality also implies that I can actually have people from all around the world participating in my courses. In fact, it may not be possible this trimester, but subsequently, you can have guest lectures as part of the course, okay, by experts all around the world. And you record that lecture so that somebody who is not being able to connect live can download and see later on. It can be also part of the YouTube channel of IIT Jodhpur, and YouTube access is better because the bandwidth requirement is better managed on YouTube as it gets played. So it can be that way. There can be a richness, a different kind of richness can be brought into the way we teach. So what are the guiding values? The guiding values of these kind of online pedagogy is fundamental point. It should be aligned to the fundamental point is that education should be experiential. And if you look at today, and in fact, if you look across talking terms of emerging economy, it's an economy of experience, what is emerging. And given post-COVID, that issue we should not forget. Let's take the example. Let's say that the economy of experience examples are all your social media, which are on your mobile phone or computers, and there is a huge market which is around social media. You're using apps and apps for all kinds of economic transactions. These are all experiences. While you are buying things online, you are actually working with experiences and buying things guided by those experiences. So actually, when you jump into, in fact, there is a very common story that Tesla is being sold by putting people onto Tesla trial, and they put on the electric part of it and see the speed, and that experience of the speed is prompting people to buy Tesla, and that was a story talked about in how the experience is being used to sell products. So today it's an economy of experience actually. In fact, globally, if you see the entire the economy moving into the cyberspace is creating what is called economy of experience. So education, if you look at economy of education, it cannot be also non-experiential. So our students, actually, if you look at, there has to be a value for the money being invested. The students putting in money, and obviously classroom was a very direct experiential, but when we are doing that online, we have to be also careful that we are really creating a good experience for the students or not. Just online lecture, just talking is not always a nice experience. How you deliver and the way you talk, whether you interact, that's also is part of this experience. And therefore, when you design your course content, it has to be aligned to this economy of experience. We have to refer to the personalized experience. Why the personalized thing comes in? I have definitely students in my class who doesn't have the similar intellectual preparation. So I need to see in an online mode, can I really have a better chance to provide personalized experience to the students? And that personalized experience can be provided to the students, provided I have create opportunity for individualized interaction while I teach. So today's chat rooms and option of these chat boxes and chat rooms provides that opportunity which can happen even outside regular class hours. So typically and globally, faculty provides for what is called an office hour to the students for this kind of personalized experience. I think we should provide in our course also this kind of time period when faculty should be available for chat. And there should be individualized chat, and you can actually invite students whom you know, maybe weaker students in your class, to come for those chats. Now it's up to them whether they would like to use that opportunity and not to use that opportunity. But what is important is that we have to create the environment where the students feel that we are sensitized to their requirement and their difficulties. And that also is something which is linked to how you design your courses. We have to see that cognitive load of learning is minimized as we go through in one session. And that's exactly why, one of the reasons why we are talking about this half-an-hour slot. And at the same time, why did we go for trimester? One of the things is obviously that we have to take the labs separately. We wanted to delay the labs. The best way to delay the labs to finish off coursework as early as possible, and then instead of doing a pure semester form, we try to create the trimester form. But also trimester, if you look into it, the number of subjects a student will be doing typically in a trimester will be less compared to the number of subjects they will be doing in a semester. So their cognitive focus can be on fewer topics and not more topics, because obviously when you have a kind of a internet-based connect, then your ability to concentrate during the class, ability to have attention for a longer time period on multiple topics is difficult. And also I think timetabling has been done in such a way there are gaps. And they don't need to do continuous lectures from one subject to another subject. They can do possibly a half-an-hour slot, have a break, come back to another subject, come to another subject. So there is a time period for settlement of this of what is the material provided to them. So the cognitive load gets balanced, and so the students can be better equipped. I think this is also the students have to also prepare themselves to experience this. And I think one of the requirement, I would say that for the faculty and the deans, also to talk with the students, to say that how they should use this online learning, this kind of restructuring of instruction that we have attempted, and how they use it. They should not interpret that in the same way as that of a classroom 1 hour contact period. And this is something also very important. The students should be also prepared. Students should also get a kind of exposure to what they expect in the classroom. Therefore, the challenge therefore is for all of us to design an experience for the student. And what we really want is that, as I have stated, in fact, this is I'm telling to all the departments, all the faculty, our ideal model is that a faculty should be involved in 2 theory courses over 3 trimesters. That is, effectively, he should have a teaching load of not more than 6 hours in a traditional hour sense, 6 hours over 3 trimesters. Where it is not possible, there's a challenge. I know there are faculty shortages. We have to see how we can manage it. And there may be also other faculty, more faculty joining as we move along the trimesters. But I think the guiding principle, the departments and the departmental faculty boards should try to follow the guiding principle so that the faculty doesn't have more than 6 hours of teaching load in terms of a traditional model over the 3 trimesters, so that he has enough time to design this experience. Because designing online experience is a different task altogether. It takes time, and we have to accept that faculty will take more time to prepare for the courses. Okay? And also, we should see how to reduce the load. We can actually look into more adjunct or a guest faculty teaching maybe one fractals, so that the load gets distributed. And that has to be a departmental faculty board's effort, that how you can do a better manage the load rather than just the responsibility of the head. Okay? I think this is extremely important. Okay? I do not want faculty to be overloaded with the teaching load. Then this experience design, the whole philosophy that we are talking about in terms of experience, and what I think throughout the day will be talk about designing this new experience, will not work out. Because designing all this experience takes time. All these things takes faculty's involvement, and faculty cannot get involved into many things simultaneously. I think this is a reality, and this reality has to be accepted by every one of us. And the other thing is, in the departments, I know you have already allocated load, but what I think you should look at, if a faculty has already taught the course in the last semester, and if that course is being offered now, the preference should be that faculty to continue with the last semester's course, because then he can redesign the experience, because he has already know the content. He did not actually re-look at the content, prepare for the content, and then do the experience design. Then the load becomes much more. And if we can follow these basic principles, and I'm telling that to all faculty, you should impress upon also the departments when they are distributing the load and teaching load, that these kind of philosophy has to be used. Because this is a new pedagogical challenge, and this new pedagogy design cannot happen in a routine way. And therefore, the whole thing has to be rethought about in a different fashion. And what you are doing, I think this is something very, very critical, which is the core of today's curriculum globally, is that you should enable and encourage the students to explore, not just to broadcast and ask them to just, it's not delivery in one way. Students should actually explore things on their own. If somebody doesn't explore, he's losing out. Have that as a reality. That means that, and if you look at the minimum what is required, maybe you can deliver, but more than that is he should be prompted to explore. Somebody who explores more should actually get credit for exploration. Similarly, the challenge is it should be prompted to imagine to do new things. And as he imagines and he creates. So therefore, the whole philosophy of your assignment design and evaluation has to change. The traditional philosophy of actually evaluating based on rote learning has to be completely done away with. We should not have that, because those things only encourage more copying. If you force people to do things on their own, if in an exam there are questions which we say in a typical way, higher level of thinking, he won't have time even to copy or talk to his colleagues. And therefore, these guys, and if he can imagine better, if he realize that his ability to explore, imagine, and creation is better, maybe group creation will actually bring down the quality, it will not happen. But at the same time, online also is a mechanism by which you can promote group creation, group activity, group learning, and project-based learning. Because the group activity is something which also to be encouraged. And for an engineering pedagogy, the working in a team and working in a group is something for the students to learn also. They cannot be individualistic and selfish. They have to work in a group and deliver. I think all these things and design requires time. These workshop is, I think, the first step towards that direction to rethink or reimagine, in fact, the way we teach. We are prompted and we should reimagine our teaching pedagogy. This is not just for this year. I think this is a new reality. This will continue. And even when we wish that COVID goes away completely and we switch back to what we were earlier, we won't switch back to that reality at all. We shall switch back to something else. And something else would obviously include this online pedagogy as an essential component. So this is also a process of preparing ourselves. And in that process of preparation, being a collection of new faculty, young faculty is an advantage for all of us. Is an advantage of IIT Jodhpur. Because you can actually come up with completely new ideas, completely disruptive ideas. And this is what I would look to happen at IIT Jodhpur. Because our legacy is very small. We really do not have a majority of the faculty who have taught for 30 years. It's not like that. Some faculty like me who have taught for 20, 25 years, it's very difficult to change. But when you are starting, you can start in a completely fresh way, in new way. And in that disruption is what I think I'm looking at IIT Jodhpur. I think these workshop is the first workshop, and there should happen more workshops. I request faculty to be absolutely open, discuss. Even if we cannot cover all the topics to be done in this workshop, we can have another session, because pedagogy is something extremely important in IIT. And if we are on the path to reimagine pedagogy, we need to invest time, effort, and intellectual input towards that direction in a collective way. I think that would be a great success at IIT Jodhpur. All the best. Have a great workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now we move to our
There are questions I can have.
I request if you have any queries or questions for Professor Chaudhary before we move on to our next session.
The chat box, is there anything?
Yes.
Yeah, just.
You can also write in the chat box.
I think the questions will be more on when we discuss SOP. Questions will be coming when we discuss SOP.
Is there any?
No, not yet.
I don't find.
Good morning. Can I ask one clarification from you, Professor Chaudhary? Atanu Ghosh here. Yeah. I was just wondering, for this online switching over, every department or at least a common facility of good studio facility would be required. So I hope that that's being taken care of.
Yeah, that we are in the process. Let's see how soon we can create. Possibly by end of this trimester we shall have. But currently we have few of the classrooms where there are these recording and video facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And also there are, I think, 3 rooms available right now where you can have these big screen and you can teach with the big screen and the video can be on and the students can interact.
And
these are all on WebEx platform. We can use WebEx platform for lecturing, and as an LMS, we can use Google Classroom.
and these three studios which you have, the allocation would be like slot wise the faculty, because
Yeah, it can be. I think the timetable and the deans would take care of that.
Yeah, because it would require some allocation decision, you know.
That we shall do, because it's also up to the faculty. If the faculty wants to use maybe, because today actually even with laptop and with WebEx, the quality of these online these interactions are also pretty good, provided network connection is good and in a decent room where acoustics is not bad. So we do not really have a very formal studio, the way kind of a studio I have seen and I have taught at IIT Delhi, but we have classrooms which have got this kind of facilities.
Yeah, that should be good enough to start with. Okay, thank you.
There is one query. Could you elaborate on the fact that online lecture can actually completely replace chalk and board teaching? Could you elaborate on the fact that online lecture can actually completely replace chalk and board teaching?
See, whether it can completely replace or not, that's a very difficult question. In fact, it's not only chalk and board teaching. It's teaching in an IIT system or an engineering system it's again a complete experiential in terms of what you do in the lab, how do you interact with the faculty, work together, work in a team, you work in a hostel. And in fact, there's a committee from MHRD where we very clearly say that IIT cannot switch to online programs at all, other than programs for working professionals. But there can be blended teaching. What I'm talking about is that blended teaching and trying to create an experience as good as possible. See, today I think there will be demonstration that if you use pen tablet, whatever you can do on a blackboard, almost similar thing you can do online using the tablet and writing on the tablet. You can also write on a piece of paper, and it can be also document projector can be used. In fact, some of these techniques I have used for big classes. When I had taught a class size of say 200 plus, this document projector is possibly the best way when you are actually doing a maths or any kind of circuit diagram, analysis of circuit diagram. Because if you do it on a board, it's very difficult to write at that magnification level so that people sitting at the back also can see clearly. But if you write on a piece of paper and do a document projector, then you can project it in a much bigger way, magnified way. Now, similar thing you can do today by putting a camera on a projector. In fact, I think there is one session where this will be talked about. If you use this pen tablet, you can actually do almost equivalent to that of your classroom blackboard activity on the pen tablet. And what is very important is what is key point in a blackboard teaching. In fact, if you use actually PPT-based teaching, the interaction, the activity in the class reduces. And if you do blackboard teaching, there are much more activity in the class because faculty is writing. Writing is something mobile, dynamic, which also attracts the attention of the students. And PPT is just something coming, and if you're not using animation, if you're not using video, then that dynamism is missing in the PPT. Either faculty has to be extremely active and through voice, through gestures, through actions to have the dynamism in the class. Otherwise, blackboard teaching is an ideal way to create this dynamism. And also for maths teaching, things have to come sequentially. In a circuit kind of a circuit-based courses, things have to come sequentially. Their PPT has to be very carefully made. Otherwise, you have to use much better to use this blackboard. And therefore, we are trying to provide. In fact, we have decided actually in principle to provide each faculty, whoever wants, a pen tablet for teaching. Okay, and that process is on. And obviously, in a government system, purchases takes time. So it might take some time, but each one of you will be provided, whoever wants to, will be provided with pen tablet. And you can use that tablet and a pen with your laptop and teach to the students, because what you write on the laptop, that goes directly on your PPT screen also, blank screen, and it will go over there. And in fact, if you are using a PDF actually provides you with, if you get PDF Pro DC, in which we are trying to talk about that, or also PDF annotator, you can actually write on the PDF document, okay? Open a PDF, you can write, and you can save that as a PDF document. So whatever you can do in a board you don't have an advantage of saving the content of the board. Here you have advantage of writing on the board as well as saving that content for subsequent reference. And that's also part of an experience. Somebody who cannot possibly attend that video lecture, you can share this written content and he can actually understand what you have taught in the class. So it cannot be completely replaced. This face-to-face contact, see, human beings are social beings. And face-to-face contact is a reality. Face-to-face contact has a different value. But in the given circumstances, we are going into this mode. But blended learning, which gives an advantage of today to have access to intellectual resources which is available globally. Through blended learning, that means some of the courses are face-to-face and some of the courses through online, somebody teaching from, say, industry or anywhere abroad. It will be a different experience for the students. It will enrich the whole pedagogy that an institute offers. I think we have to be open to those possibilities. We have to make sure that those things are worked out.
There is also a need to educate students how to learn in the online education mode. Any plan in that direction?
Yeah. So I already stated that students have to be prepared for participating in this kind of teaching. And in fact, I said that I have actually requested deans and other faculty to organize these kind of sessions with the students, okay, when the semester starts. At the initial level, maybe each year-wise, there can be these kind of sessions. And we should actually have that. Because the students, which we completely agree, the students need to prepare. Students need to also understand and learn the protocol of participating in an online teaching learning process. Many cases they are not even exposed to that protocol. But they have to be told, because see, the point is, see, what you demand through a physical thing, we are not being able to deliver them in a major way today, not because of fault of ours, because of the circumstances. And teaching learning process and academia and the life cannot wait. I think this is something very, very important. We have to move ahead. We are making compromises. We are cutting corners here and there. Absolutely true. But we should try to do as best as we can do.
Materializing the attendance criteria for students seems difficult at times, as students keep dropping out due to network issues, like you mentioned, due to the geographical diversity as we experienced amongst our students.
Yeah, absolutely true. I completely agree. And for us, in a sense that for us, we do not debar a student not to appear in an exam because of these attendance criteria right now. We say there is a requirement actually for the attendance, and I think we should be open in terms of the attendance, because see, obviously a student may not attend a class, but you are sharing the material, he's participating in all evaluations, he's participating in the chat box. All these are indication of the student's participation. I think here key point is we should actually assess, maybe subjectively, a student's participation in a course and not go by the numeric parameters of attendance in the class.
Yeah. Shall I say the last question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we also have a session with the students explaining them a tri-semester system?
Yeah. So that's what I'm telling. That for each department we shall be having a session with the students. That's what I'm telling to all the deans as well as the heads and others. Please organize, because students have to be also prepared to accept, to participate effectively in this whole process. Students are our major stakeholders. We cannot ignore them. We have to work together. they should participate in the whole exercise.
One of the faculty, Deepak Arora, is mentioning that instructor can teach from their offices. That will not only reduce the requirement of separate space, say a studio, but will also provide a bit of flexibility to the instructor. Basic tools such as pen, tablet, webcam, whiteboard can be added as a tool in the...
Yeah. So, Deepak, it's clear. We as a policy, we're not insisting that you have to come to a studio or a classroom studio to teach. You can teach from your office. Somebody who wants to use the classroom, these kind of classrooms, they are welcome, and that will be slotted for. But you are welcome to use from the class. Obviously, these some of these things, actually, pen tablet is what we are definitely providing. And
pen tablet, webcam, whiteboard, these are, I think, all by default available. Whiteboards are there, and department is providing whiteboards to each of the faculties. And webcams are already, by default you have in most of the laptops. And pen tablet will be, we are planning to.
We shall provide this pen tablet was not there in there and should be provided for. And if you require a webcam, the department has been given 25 lakhs of funding to start with to expend. People have not yet spent much. People should maybe, if whoever wants can ask for a webcam, and you can provide that can be provided for. And let department start spending, then we shall see how to provide for. Obviously, but the institute definitely is going through a financial crunch. This is, IIT Jodhpur is no exception. Whole government of India is going through a financial crunch. The country is going through a financial crisis. The world is going through a financial crisis. We are receiving per quarter not 25% of our budget, but 15% of our budget. So obviously, you have to also accept this reality.
Okay, so...
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine?
Let's
Okay.
move on to the... Yeah, so I'll discuss SOP then.
SOP.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now I request Dr. Vandana to elaborate the SOP we are proposing for this next online teaching over the trimester, and we will discuss while presenting the SOPs. If you have any queries, please write in the chat box so that we can discuss.